Well, my journey started back in August of 2020. First of all, I was a typical, I don't want to know anything about sex trafficking because it's not happening where I am.
Right.
And so one day I went for a walk with a friend in a park in Caldwell, and we came upon a young woman who was sitting in the middle of the path in great anxiety and looked somewhat emaciated. She was barefoot, and so we asked her if she was okay, and she said no, and we asked her what the problem was. And her response was, "Today I'm going to die." And we looked around. There was nobody else there. She had no injuries. She wasn't crying out in pain. And as we asked her to explain, she began to talk about dark places and demons and how she hated herself. And so we encouraged her to walk back to the parking lot with us. And when we did, this man jumped out from the other side of the path and claimed to be her friend. And realizing that didn't feel right, ultimately we escorted her back to the parking lot and called in the police and learned that sex trafficking was on the rise in Caldwell, that this scene had the signs of sex trafficking, and that this woman's name had come up in the database of missing persons. So it was a very dramatic walk back, and the conversation we had, we learned that she was from the East Coast. She had been flown to California, met this man in a hotel. She didn't know how long she was in California. Then she was flown to Idaho, and so she started to break down and cry. She said she couldn't talk to her parents anymore. She missed her mom. So anyway, that was my eye opener. And at first, I was just so stunned by the whole experience. It really just stuck in my head. And after a while, I thought, clearly, what's missing is education, if this is that prevalent. And so we got a group, as I talked to more people, we all got together, came on board, and had a meeting, and then planned the very first event for Caldwell in January of 2022. We had the Idaho Anti-Trafficking Coalition come out, and they gave a presentation, and that was the beginning of awareness, I think, in Caldwell in a public sense. Then we had a follow-up with panel discussion with the IATC. We had somebody from a place called Inside Out Cares, and then Officer David Gomez was on that panel, and that was the eye-opener to the internet and the crimes against children on the internet. So from there we moved on, became an organization. We developed our mission statement. Then we became a 501c3, and we brought programs to the community, and we still are. And so here we are today. We're about, 3.5 years down the road, and it's such a huge problem, and it's so multifaceted. And right now we are focusing on the internet because we know that is one of the primary means by which these predators reach kids at an alarming scale, and there's just a lack of education, and that has to move forward. So that's where a lot of our effort is.